All right, so I just finished watching Avengers Endgame. Lots of mixed emotions, lots of thoughts after watching the movie. And if you have not seen the movie, don't watch this video any further. That is fair warning. I will be discussing some pertinent details about the movie that are absolutely spoilers. So if you do not want to be spoiled, please go and watch the movie like a couple times, 3 times, 4 times before watching this video. And because in this video, I will be discussing some issues, some questions that I have regarding the movie. Now, suffice to say, the movie was absolutely excellent. It was amazing, by far one of the best, if not the best Marvel Cinematic Universe movie to date by Marvel Studios and Disney. I absolutely loved it. It's a lot of fan service, lots of feels, and it's really a closure type of movie. It really brings to a, I wouldn't want to say an end, but a fitting conclusion to what has been 10, 11 years of Marvel Cinematic Universe movies from Iron Man 1. It's a roller coaster of a movie, and you wouldn't even notice the 3 hours going by. You'll actually feel that 3 hours wasn't long enough, and you'd wish it were 6 hours or 9 hours or something like that. That's exaggerating, but that was how it felt. Now, what was interesting about the movie is there were a lot of speculation that sort of happened, and there were a lot of speculation that didn't happen. And I have some issues with it, but despite having all these issues, I'm gonna give the movie a 9.99 out of 10, and that 0.01 deduction from the rating is really nitpicking. I mean, some fans might think my reasons for doing so are valid, but I absolutely think there were a lot of questions to be asked after seeing the movie. Okay, so without further ado, let's just get right into it. There are no end scene credits. A little bit disappointing. I would have wanted an end scene credit. I'll talk about that later. But suffice to say, I think after watching the movie, everybody's going to need a break. Everyone needs time to recuperate before discussing the movie. Okay, so first up is Nebula. Now, my biggest question here is, well, if she shoots her older self and kills her, why is she still alive? Basic time traveling concept. If you shoot your older self, you shouldn't be alive. You'd be killing yourself, literally. And the premise of all that was the whole movie was saying we can time travel, but it's not what you see in the movies, which is pretty ironic because they're in a movie, but nothing to do with the Terminator, Back to the Future, and whatnot. It says the Banner and Tony, they were ranting about when you go into the past becomes your present, your future, the present becomes your past, and the future and the present time becomes your future. Whatever. It was very confusing, but it somehow. They're trying to peddle that you don't really change your future or you don't change your timeline if you change anything in the past or something like that, or if you go into the past, because I know they made an effort not to change anything in the past. What they did was they wanted to use the stones, get the stones from the past, use them in the future or in the present, and then return them so that nothing changes. Which begs the question, if Nebula, the future Nebula, shoots her older self, why isn't she dead? And I'm sure if Mr. Kevin Feige and the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe have some form of explanation for that, and I'd love to hear it. Okay, which begs the next question. Okay, this is the 2014. I've said these are spoilers, right? Fair warning, right? Okay, so this is the 2014 Thanos, and he sort of goes through the time stream and enters the 2019 time period without ever having collected the Infinity Stones, because the stones have been gathered and brought to 2019. Okay. obviously he dies. He loses and he dies. I'm not going to elaborate too much, but he does. He loses and he dies. So if Thanos disappears from 2014, for whatever reason, whether he disappears, he dies in 2019 because he left 2014, that period from 2015, 16, 17, and 18, there's no Thanos in the timeline. Nobody to gather the stones, nobody to enact decimation. So the decimation doesn't take place because you've literally gotten rid of Thanos by 2014. So how does the decimation still happen, which they sort of undid in 2019? And if the decimation doesn't happen, no reason to gather the stones, then Gamora wouldn't be in the Soul Stone, Vision wouldn't be dead, and all that sort of stuff. There'd be no reason for the Avengers to time travel to undo the decimation. It's that grandfather paradox that's just begging to be asked and to be discussed. And it's just nagging at me because no Thanos means no Infinity War, and therefore the Endgame shouldn't have happened. It does create a paradox. Now I know what you're thinking. The MCU, Marvel, and Disney are saying, "Oh no, when they do time travel, they eradicate the old timeline and they create a new timeline, sort of branching off to a new timeline." Does that destroy the old timeline? They're saying that it can be with the Banner's conversation with the Ancient One. The Ancient One says, you can fix your timeline, but my current timeline stays. And it's going to be harmful. So two timelines don't self-destruct. And Banner saying, no, we'll destroy that old timeline and recreate a new one. Which is sort of ridiculous because they're going through the extra length to protect the timeline by returning the stones so that things would still occur in the timeline. You see what I'm saying? It's not the whole idea of it's a new timeline and therefore it's all right. If Thanos disappears in 2014, the decimation will still happen. Unless they're saying there's an intertwining of two timelines, it's just mind-boggling because they went to great lengths to preserve the original timeline. So I don't think they created a new timeline. I don't think they destroyed any timeline. It is the same timeline. And here's proof of that. Rogers they do the plan of returning all the stones, but he doesn't follow the plan quite to the letter. He stays in the past. Does his final dance with Peggy. A lot of closure, like I mentioned in the beginning, for all the Avengers. And the old Rogers appears right there at the end of the final battle with Thanos when they returned all the stones. He's an old man. So it's the same timeline. I think the old Steve Rogers is proof that the timeline they're talking about is the exact same one. They didn't create a new one. They didn't merge a new one. They didn't destroy a new one. They were protecting the old timeline, and it is the same timeline. So the decimation still happened. Rogers lived through it, and now he's there. So that's a little bit confusing. I need an answer for that. Killing Thanos in 2014, whether it was in 2019 or in 2014, you get rid of a certain event. All the events that happened 2015 on to 2018 do not happen, and thereby there's a paradox. Another thing I wanted to mention is he does bring the old shield back and gives it to Sam Wilson. That's great. That's comic fan service. I love it. And Disney and Marvel, they're trying to be relevant. They're trying to be inclusive, and they're trying to bring everybody in, and just following the comic book. So I was wondering whether it was Bucky or whether it was Sam, but Sam was more recent, so it was only natural that he would get the shield. The shield is whole, and Rogers brings it back with him as an old person, as an old Steve Rogers, to that site where they returned the stones. He gives a whole shield to Sam. Now, I don't know if after the Battle of Thanos, they sort of somehow repaired the shield, because it looks spiffy and brand new, and Rogers has it. Is it his old shield? So did he repair it and then time traveled bringing it? Because I know for a fact that he only brought the Mjolnir with him, so he can return it to Asgard, so that Thor, the Dark World, could go as planned. So why is the shield still whole? How is he getting a new shield? And where did it come from? If it came from the past, then Cap would have he wouldn't have a shield in the future in the present time. And if it was the present time shield, did it get fixed? They didn't show that, or how does he have it as an old person? Because that shield should have been in the custody of the Avengers after the final battle. So I don't know what happened there, but I'm glad Sam is the new Captain America. I mean, it was expected. A lot of it was expected. Yeah. So yeah, another question that requires some answering. Okay, next one. This was probably my biggest thing about Endgame. Why I couldn't give it a perfect score. I know there were a lot of theories that some of the Avengers were gonna die, and Tony was one of them. He wields all the stones, wins the battle for everybody. Yay! They won. Just like in Avengers 1, he comes full circle and he saves the day, but at a very high cost. Wielding all the Infinity Stones demands a lot, and no human would survive that. And that's what happens. He saves the day, saves it for everybody, gets rid of the bad guy, and he dies in the process. Now, Iron Man has been one of the cornerstones of the MCU when they built it, when they tried to do it. Now I know what Disney and Marvel are trying to do. They're trying to change it up things. They want the new Iron Man to be, I think, in the direction of what we've seen the movie is going to be in a female lead role, either in the form of Pepper Potts as Rescue turned Iron Man, or we could be looking at a new Riri Williams as Ironheart or the new Iron Man. Either way, I'm happy with it. I'm totally happy with it. But what I didn't appreciate is they just let him go. It's like, I know what the Russo brothers are saying, it has to come at a cost, but I'm a big Star Wars fan, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker, Yoda, they all die, but they're still there. And in the comic books, Tony Stark, when he died, was able to download, among one of the times he died, because they keep coming back in the comic books. Wolverine, Captain America, I could go on, but Cyclops. But he downloads his consciousness onto some armor or whatever, and that consciousness sort of becomes an AI. And I was kind of hoping, I'm sure down the line they're probably gonna do this somehow, turn Tony Stark into Obi-Wan Kenobi. I just wanted an extra scene, maybe as an end credit scene, like a blank screen monitor, Tony Stark persona downloading complete, or something like that. Or because we got some hints about that, and I firmly believe the MCU is planning on bringing him back as a ghost or as an AI quote unquote ghost, because his final words, his family was listening to them, and I firmly believe they will do that. I just wish they had done it in this movie. Some form of hope that Tony somehow is still with us and alive. Not in physical form, but as an AI. I could go further and say that he could be the new AI of Pepper's new uniform or new armor. Or we could go through the comic book route by having him as the AI of Riri Williams. Either way, I was a little bit disappointed. There was no end credit scene. I was waiting for that, so that we get to see Tony downloaded as an AI. Okay. And finally, Ant-Man. Okay, I know, leading to this movie, everybody was suggesting how Thanos was going to be defeated by Ant-Man. And I wanted to say, after watching the movie, it was totally possible. I mean, he found a way to squeeze into the old arc reactor of Tony Stark in the 2008 or 2010 Avengers 1 scene, where he gave him a heart attack by messing around with the arc reactor, and it was totally possible. He could shrink that size, go up Thanos's rear portal, and totally increase his size and become giant man and explode Thanos from within. It was absolutely doable because Thanos was distracted by all of this. He was too small to be noticed. He could have gone in through the nostrils of his nose, of Thanos's nose, through his ear, whatever. He could have gone through anywhere and explode. It was absolutely doable. I don't understand why they didn't do it for gross reasons or whatever, unless the MCU is saying that the anatomy of a Titan in the form of the Mad Titan Thanos is very, very significantly different from a human DNA, from the human biology and physiology, that he does not have a rear and exit. His nostrils are very different, or his ears are very different. If they're conveniently saying that the anatomy and physiology and biology of a Titan is different, and because we never see Thanos eat, we never see him use the bathroom. In the comic books, he became that strong because he had been experimenting with his genetic makeup. He was a very smart guy. He tried to improve himself. And my guess is he doesn't need to eat. He doesn't need any of that biological function because he absorbs energy through cosmic means and through that through energy transfer, whatever. But he doesn't eat, sleep, and use the bathroom like humans. So that could be one reason why they didn't do that. So a little bit disappointed because I was completely thinking that our Thanos had a very tight suit that was impossible to penetrate even at the microscopic subatomic level. But he's got a nose, he's got ears, he's got eyes. I mean, he could have done it. It was totally possible, and I don't know why I did it. So, lots of funny things going on in the movie. I'm going to end by saying this. Go and watch the movie. Probably my favorite scene. I mean, there are a lot of favorite scenes. I don't want to talk about too much. You know what I'm saying if you've seen the movie. But I don't know why, but my absolute favorite funny scene was when Scott Lang was doing a timeout. He's just eating a taco, trying to eat a taco, and he doesn't get to eat a taco because rocket ship lands with Nebula. It was the funniest moment for me, at least. Lots of tearjerker moments, but I was able to hold my tears back so badly. Oh my god, I was with my daughter, didn't want to cry with her, but lots of moments. I'm gonna watch it again with my wife. I might just let go, but I was close to crying, but not enough. Lots of great moments. I highly recommend you watch this movie more than once. It's a great movie. Well done, Disney. Well done, Marvel Studios. Well done to everybody involved. It was an amazing journey, and it is a brilliant way to cap things off. I cannot wait what Disney and Marvel Studios have in store for us for the coming phases 4, 5, and 6 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, with that, I wanted to thank you guys for listening in, and I hope I didn't spoil it for anyone. I did give fair warning. The movie's still going to get a 9.99 out of 10 for me. I wish they could have explained more about what I talked about, and until next time, have fun watching, you guys. Have fun watching it again, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.